So, Chapter 1, so summary of introduction. So, fire has been a source of comfort and disaster for the human race for longer than written history. Fire was used by early people to keep warm, cook food, and scare away predators. So, according to Kuhila J. 2019, fire disasters are accompanied with devastating impact affecting both lives and properties. And the magnitude of the impacts has been severe in places with low levels of fire disaster preparedness. So, nowadays, fire is one of the most dangerous disasters here in the Philippines. And according to Philstar 2019 and IFSEC PH 2021, so the Philippines continues to experience disastrous fires, often marking some of the worst fire incidents in the history. And then continues of increasing the number of deaths and injured year by year, so that the researchers conduct this study to help the companies and employees to prevent some serious fire outbreaks and to avoid high casualties that brings these kinds of disaster to us.
Statement of the problem. This study aims to investigate the fire safety awareness and preparedness of employees of oil company in Bacoor City. Number 1, what is the profile? Specifically, it aims to investigate the following. Number 1, what is the profile of the respondents in terms of age, B, gender, C, experience with fire outbreak, D, experience with fire drill. What is the number 2? What is the extent of respondents' knowledge on firefighting equipments? Number 3. How do respondents perceive the advocacy of firefighting equipment in the building where they are working? What is the extent of respondents' awareness on fire safety? Number 5. How do respondents perceive their level of preparedness when there is a fire outbreak in their workplace? Number 6. Is there a significant differences between the respondents' level of preparedness according to their experience during a fire outbreak? And B, fire drill. Number 7. Is there a significant relationship between a respondents' level of preparedness and their knowledge level in firefighting equipments? B, perception of the advocacy of firefighting equipments, and letter C, extent of their fire safety awareness.
So, Kingsley S. So, hypothesis. So, first hypothesis. So, there is no significant difference between respondents' level of preparedness during fire outbreak and fire experience in fire outbreak and fire drill. Hypothesis 2. So, there is no significant relationship between respondents' level of preparedness during fire outbreak and their knowledge level in firefighting equipment, perception on the adequacy of firefighting equipment, and the extent of their fire safety awareness. So, research paradigm. So, we use input, process, and output. So, in input, so respondents' demographic profile, respondents' level of knowledge in operation of firefighting equipment, respondents' perception on the adequacy of firefighting equipment, respondents' level of awareness on fire safety, respondents' level of preparedness during the outbreak. So, process, so assessment by using research instrument through Google Forms of respondents. So, the demographic profile, level of knowledge in the operation of firefighting equipment, perception on the adequacy of firefighting equipment, level of awareness, fire safety, level of preparedness during fire outbreak, data presentation, analysis, and the interpretation of the results. So, in output, so significant difference between respondents' level of preparedness during fire outbreak and their experience in fire outbreak and fire drill. So, second, significant relationship between respondents' level of preparedness during fire outbreak and their knowledge level in firefighting equipment, perception on the adequacy of firefighting equipment, and the extent of their fire safety awareness. Scope and limitation. So, this study aims to determine the influential factor of preparedness of employees of QLE in company during the fire outbreak. This research will be conducted during the period of October 2021 to December 2021 in QLE in company in Bacoor City. In this study, will focus on influential factors of the preparedness of employees of QLE in company during fire outbreak. significance of the study. So the results will benefit the following. So company. This study will help the company to add some knowledge on how they will be prepared and aware during the fire outbreak. Also, they will get some ideas of that kind of equipment is effective or more efficient will use during the fire outbreak. So employee. This study will help them become to prepared and become safe during the fire outbreak. Future researchers. So that's the study allowed them to serve as a guide in their future research study that might be similar or related to this topic. Also, this study would help them to surpass easily the same circumstances that the researchers encountered. So, researchers themselves, so the study helped them in drawing further interest in this research topic as well as related study and literature involved. And this study also would help the researchers to pass this subject with proper knowledge.
View of related study. So we have a foreign study. According to Arens and Edwards in 2020, stated in their study that in 2019, 1,02,951 fires claimed the lives of 3,704 civilians and injured 16,600 others. In addition, 48 on-duty firefighter deaths were reported, marking the first time the yearly death toll was less than 50. Even though the number of fire-related deaths has reduced by whole since 1977, the number of deaths in 2019 is up for the 7th year in a row, surpassing the NFPA's 2012 records low. The total number of civilians killed in fire in 2019 is 3,704, up 1% from 3,655 in 2018 and 30% more than the record low number of deaths of 2,855 in 2012. Most of these deaths were caused by house fires and business-related fire. Each year, between 70,000 and 80,000 significant workplace fires occur in the United States according to Pai and Versoina in 2021. Moreover, 5,000 of them result in injury, with 200 of them resulting in death. Only 15% of them, however, are the consequence of conditions beyond human control. In 2013 to 2014, 22,200 fires were reported in non-dwelling buildings, with accidental fires accounting for 75% of the total. There were 3,700 occasions where alarm failed to sound and 17 people died because of fire that started in structure other than homes. Of related study, so we have a local study. According to the study, Oliver G. Ferrer, entitled Extent of the Implementation of the Fire Prevention Programs of the Bureau of Fire Protection Apari Fire at Station in 2020, stated that the fire prevention programs and education are an important part of keeping communities safe. There are many hazardous and dangerous materials and activities that happen in day-to-day work activities. Inspectors, working with companies throughout the community, can ensure that they are taking the necessary precautions to keep themselves and their workers safe. Community fire prevention programs can provide a lot of positive activities and information to the children, parents, and citizens of a town or city. These opportunities can provide a base of knowledge about fire prevention safety and risk. The Unified Fire Prevention Programs of the Bureau of Fire Protection in the Philippines varies implementation from one location to another. The study concluded that the implementation of fire prevention program of BFP, Apari Fire Station, in the fire safety evaluation and inspection, and fire safety for hazardous materials were very great implemented, while the fire safety inspection certificate program was great implemented. Some of occupancies in the Apari do not meet the standard of the Fire Code of the Philippines. Having this scenario, the occurrence of fire might increase in the areas of establishments which were not gives a fire safety inspection certificate. BFP Apari Fire Station should continuously monitor and visit the non-compliant occupancies in Apari, Cagayan. Lack of personnel was the main factor that affects the implementation of fire prevention programs, followed by insufficient inspection equipment and lack of investigative gear and equipment for fire safety inspection. The Bureau's total strength deeply affects the implementation of its fire prevention programs. Augmentation of BFP personnel to be assigned in Apari Fire Station is advised to further strengthen the implementation of their fire prevention programs.
Mark Joseph, today I will discuss Chapter 2, Related Literature, Foreign and Local. Related Literature, Foreign. According to Federal Emergency Management Agency, stated that the incident of the fire and fire deaths in the U.S. has declined drastically in the last 3 decades. In 1974, the year that the U.S. Fire Administration was established, there was approximately 12,000 deaths due to the fire, or 34.4 million population. At that time, the U.S. ranked among the top three industrial nations with the highest fire death rate in the decade since the interception of USFA. The USA fire problem has improved dramatically. Related literature local. According to IFSCA Philippines, the Philippines continues to experience disastrous fire, often making some of the worst fire incidents in the history. On May 13, 2015, a fire broke out at the Kentex manufacturing factory in Valenzuela City, where 74 people were killed after being trapped inside the burning shoes and slipper factory. It is the third worst fire incident in the Philippines after the 1996 Ocean's Disco Club fire that killed 162 and 2001 Manor Hotel the fire that led to the death of 75 people. In all three cases, buildings were totally burned or destroyed. Huge amount of investment went up in the smoke in a matter of hours, and those who were lucky enough to escape and survive suffered the tragedy of losing their jobs, their source of income and livelihood. Forward to the present day scenario, the Philippines remains washed up in fighting fire if not preventing it from happening.
So, hi, this is Lester Projeli Kayan from NS1A3. So, we'll talk about our research design. So, the researchers made use of the descriptive research. This design is widely used to gather information about a present condition, phenomenon, status, or trend, and dealing what is prevailing. So, the main objective of the study is to describe the nature of a situation as it exists at the time of study and to explore the cause of particular phenomenon so that remedies can be recommended at the end of the investigation. Since the study focused on the influential factors on the preparedness of employees during fire outbreak, the researchers were guided as to what questions or information to inquire from the respondents. Also, such method aided them to plan the procedures in gathering the needed data effectively. In this study, descriptive method was used to show the demographic profile of the respondents in terms of age, gender, experience with fire outbreak, and experience with fire drill. It also shows the respondents' level of preparedness during fire outbreak and their knowledge level in firefighting equipment, their perception and the adequacy of firefighting equipment in their workplace, and the extent of the fire safety awareness. The correlation method was also employed to determine the relationship between the independent variables to dependent variables. So the next one I will tell it to you is our respondents of the study. So the respondents of our study were 40 selected of employees of QL Inn located at Maligaya Street, Dulong Bayan, Bacoor City, with the age ranging from 19 to 25 years old. So we have 40 respondents upon this study, and all of them are employees with ages ranging from 19 to 25 years old, and they're the one who will be answering the set of questions that we prepare in order to engage with the research study further. That's all.
So good morning, sir. My name is Di Castro Ibanez, and today I'm going to discuss about Chapter 3, Sampling Techniques and the research instrument that is used in the study. So sampling technique. So this study made use of non-probability sampling since not all in the population were given an equal chance to be selected as a sample. So under the non-probability, the purposive sampling was chosen because a criterion was set, and that is the respondents must be employee of the QLE in companies. So next one is the research instrument. So the researcher used a survey questionnaire in gathering data. The questionnaire was developed by the head of the research department of Philippine Merchant Marine School, which is Engineer Clarence Rafael, and was validated by all the faculty members through face validation who are handling research courses during the first semester of school year 2019 to 2020. So the research instrument was divided into 5 parts. First section is contained by the respondents' demographic profile such as age, gender, and experience with fire outbreak and experience with fire drill. So the next section is contained by the respondent's knowledge of operating firefighting equipment. And the third section is contained by the respondent's perception on the adequacy of firefighting equipment in their workplace. So the fourth one is the section which is contained the respondent's level of fire safety awareness. And the last section is contained by the respondent's level of preparedness and readiness during fire outbreak.
First, data gathering procedure. In order to gather the data needed for this study, 2 letters were written by the researchers to ask permission. The first letter was addressed to the Dean of Studies, Dr. Magdalena T. Core, asking permission to conduct the study, while the second letter was addressed to the contact person in the company, asking permission to conduct the survey. After the letters were approved, the questionnaire in Google form was then sent to the target respondents. But before answering, the researchers explained to the respondents the contents of the instrument, after which gave them sample time to answer the survey questionnaire. After making sure that the respondents have finished answering, the questionnaire in Google form were retrieved. The data were tabulated in preparation for the statistical treatment. Statistical treatment of data. Data collected by the questionnaire were coded by researchers. The data were recorded first in an MS Excel program and later transferred to the statistical package for the social sciences, or SPSS, by the school statistician assigned by our professor. Descriptive statistical analysis such as mean, standard deviation, frequency, percent, and Pearson R correlation were implemented using SPSS. First, percentage frequency distribution. It is a display of data that specifies that the percentage of observation that exists for each data point or grouping of data points. It is a particularly useful method of expressing the relative frequency of survey responses and other data. Second, statistical mean refers to the mean or average that is used to derive the central tendency of the data. It is determined by adding all the data points in a population and then dividing the total by the number of points. Third, standard deviation is a statistic that measured the dispersion of a dataset relative to its mean and is calculated at the square root of the variance. If the data points are further from the mean, there is a higher deviation within the dataset. Thus, the more spread out the data, the higher the standard deviation. And last, Pearson R correlation. The statistical tool was used to determine the degree of correlation between the independent variables to the dependent variables and interpreted as follows. R value, degree of correlation. Very high correlation, medium correlation, low correlation, very low correlation, zero correlation. The statistical significance must be present in order to establish a probability of the result without error. To determine if the correlation is significant or not, the following was used. There is no statistically significant correlation between the independent to the dependent variable. If the value of P 0.05, there is a statistically significant correlation between the independent variable to the dependent variable.
Summary of findings. This study aims to investigate the fire safety awareness and preparedness of employees. Specifically, it aims to investigate the following. What is the profile of the respondents in terms of age, gender, experience with fire outbreak, or experience with fire drill? What is the extent of respondents' knowledge of firefighting equipment. How do respondents perceive the adequacy of firefighting equipment in the building where they are working? What is the extent respondents' awareness of fire safety? How do respondents perceive their level of preparedness when there is a fire outbreak in the workplace? Is there a significant difference between respondents' level of preparedness according to their experience during fire outbreak and fire drill? Is there a significant relationship between respondents' level of preparedness and their knowledge level in firefighting equipment? Next is perception of the adequacy of firefighting equipment and extent of the fire safety awareness. Summary of findings. Profile of respondents, age of respondents, and the respondents in this study are mostly from the age bracket of 21 to 25 years old with a frequency of 21 or 42%, followed by the age of bracket of 26 to 30 with a frequency of 15 or 30%. The rest of the respondents are from the bracket of 31 to 35 years old, 3 or 6%, 36 to 40 years old, and 4% or 8% to 41 to 45 years old, and 2 or 4% to 46 to 50 years old, and 1 or 2% to 51 or 55 years old, or 2% or 4% and 56 to 60 years old, and 2 or 4%. Gender of respondents, it shows that 20 to 40% are male and 30 to 60% are female. Total of 100. Experience with fire outbreak, it shows that 21 or 42% experienced fire outbreak and 29 or 58% did not experience a fire outbreak. Experience with fire drill, it shows that 38 or 76% experienced fire drill and 12 or 24% did not experience fire drill. Respondents' knowledge to operate of firefighting equipment. The knowledge to operate firefighting equipment reveals that the respondents are heterogeneously somewhat knowledgeable to operate the firefighting equipment. Adequacy of firefighting equipment. The finding shows that the respondents perceive that the following firefighting equipment are homogeneously adequate: dry chemical extinguishers, carbon dioxide extinguishers, hose reels, sprinklers, fire blankets, dry rice, fire detectors, smoke detectors, and heat detectors, and the fire hydrants. Extent of the respondents' awareness on fire safety. The extent of respondents' awareness on fire safety reveals that the respondents are homogeneously very much aware on the following safety. The building where they are working has fire evacuation plan. There is a designated location to meet outside the building in the case of fire. The smoke alarm are installed to provide air detection and warning so they'll have enough time to evacuate. There are signage indicating exit routes in case of emergency. The building where they are working has existing fire exits. The occupants are aware of the location of existing firefighting equipment. Mustering is conducted to verify everyone has escaped the building. There is a procedure to inform occupants to remain outside until notified by the fire department that it is safe to re-enter the building, and the occupants are aware of the location of keys of the evacuation doors. In overall, the respondents are homogeneously very much aware in fire safety. Outbreak. The respondents' preparedness, readiness during fire outbreak in their workplace reveals that the respondents are homogeneously prepared, ready in the following: to raise an alarm and call for emergency response team, to activate the closest fire alarm system, to call emergency numbers in the event of fire outbreak, to turn off hazardous machinery, to pack up all their belongings before evacuating the buildings on hearing fire alarm, to bring with them the most important documents from their workplace, to leave escape routes unobstructed for easy flow of people, to apply first aid to victims of fire accidents, to take the injured to the emergency care in hospital immediately or call for an ambulance, and to provide CPR using chest compressions and mouth-to-mouth breathing in case of emergency. And overall, the respondents are homogeneously prepared, ready when there is a fire outbreak on their workplace. Relationship between respondents' level of preparedness, readiness according to their experience during fire outbreak and fire drill. Finding shows that there is a very low correlation and thus no significant relationship between the respondents' level of preparedness according to their experience in fire outbreak and fire drill. This implies that the respondents' experience in fire outbreak and fire drill does not affect their level of preparedness readiness during fire outbreak in their workplace. Therefore, the hypothesis that there is no significant difference between respondents' level of preparedness during fire outbreak and their experience in fire outbreak and fire drill is accepted. Relationship between respondents' level of preparedness, readiness, and their knowledge in operate firefighting equipment, perception of the adequacy of firefighting equipment, and the extent of their fire safety awareness. Finding shows that there is a medium correlation and a significant relationship between the respondents' level of preparedness, readiness, and their knowledge to operate the firefighting equipment. This implies that the respondents knowledgeable to operate firefighting equipment affect their level of preparedness or readiness during fire outbreak. For the perception of the respondents in the adequacy of firefighting equipment, finding shows that there is a medium correlation and a significant relationship to their level of preparedness, readiness during fire outbreak. This implies that the adequacy of firefighting equipment affects their preparedness, readiness during fire outbreak. For the extent of the fire safety awareness, findings show that there is a high correlation and a significant relationship to the preparedness, readiness during fire outbreak. This implies the respondents' level of safety awareness affect their level of preparedness, readiness during fire outbreak. Therefore, the hypothesis that there is no significant relationship between respondents' level of preparedness during fire outbreak and their knowledge level in firefighting equipment, perception on the adequacy of the firefighting equipment, and the extent of their fire safety awareness is rejected.
So, number one conclusion. So, based from the summary of findings, researchers conclude the following. So, first, 42% of the respondents experienced fire outbreak and 58% did not experience a fire outbreak. Next, 76% of the respondents experienced fire drill and 24% did not experience fire drill. So, 3. So, respondents are heterogeneously somewhat knowledgeable in operating firefighting equipment. Firefighting equipment. Next, respondents homogeneously perceive that firefighting equipment are adequate. So, next, respondents are homogeneously very much aware in fire safety. Next, respondents are homogeneously prepared, ready when there is a fire outbreak in their workplace. Next, respondents' experience fire outbreak and fire drill does not affect their level of preparedness, readiness during fire outbreak. So 5, respondents higher knowledgeable to operate firefighting equipment. The adequacy of firefighting equipment and level of fire safety awareness affect their level of preparedness, readiness during fire outbreak. So the recommendations. So number 1 recommendations. Since the findings reveal that the majority of the respondents did not experience fire outbreak, the researchers recommend to the company in collaboration with the community, Bureau of Fire Protection, and the law and government units to conduct a fire outbreak simulation and fire outbreak to be able to raise awareness amongst employees on how to deal when a fire outbreaks out. Number 2. Since the findings reveal that it has 24% who did not experience a fire drill, the researchers recommend to the QLE company they should conduct a quarterly fire drill for their employees to have opportunities and to become knowledgeable on what to do when there's a fire outbreak. So next, number 3. According to the result that the employees of QLE in company are heterogeneously somewhat knowledgeable in operating firefighting equipments, researchers recommend to the QLE company that they should conduct a seminar or on a familiarization of different kinds of firefighting equipment. Number 4. According to the result that the employees of QLE company are homogeneously perceived that the firefighting equipment are adequate, the researchers recommend to the company that every employee take a seminar or conduct a seminar about firefighting equipment to become very adequate. Number 5. According to the result that the employees of QLE company that their experience in fire outbreak and fire drill does not affect their level of preparedness and readiness during the fire outbreak, the researchers recommend both conduct a comprehensive fire drills wherein the participants will actively participate and incorporate trainings and drills in operating different kinds of firefighting equipment.